Alright then everybody, this is Yara here, and I'm over here with Rudy. He's the player who actually got first place with Hero, who's the most viewed video on my channel. It's currently like a 17,000 views, so it's pretty insane. So he wanted to come out here and give a little guide for everybody, because everybody wants to learn Heroes apparently. So this is going to be a post-bode deck list, right Rudy? This is post-bode, right?
Yes, sir. Hero's best deck.
Heroes best deck. So I'm gonna be learning with you guys because I don't know how heroes work. So whatever questions I have, I'm gonna ask him so that way we can all learn together. He's gonna teach everybody. So right, and so this is the deck list that you made that you think is gonna be the best post burst of Destiny, right?
Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
as of right now, I usually like to build my decks based on what I'm going up against as far as our locals and everything. But one of the main things that I kind of like doing is just adding my own particular spice in it. The This list is basically the same list that I had on your channel, the most viewed one.
Yeah.
The only difference is we just added if you can see here, Denier, and then obviously the new Phoenix Enforcer. But other than that, I mean, everything else has stayed the same. Um, a lot of people, they when they're working on their hero builds, or a lot of questions that I get asked is, how do I play around Nib? Um, and it's just like for my build, it's a going second OGK. So some of the times I just have to go into Nib, but there are a few combos and a few cards that I can actually go into doing 4 summons, still breaking their board, and basically OGKing. But as far as like just the variations, this list for me, it's working for me. I mean, I've gone undefeated a couple times there at our locals. I've gotten second place, and it just to me, Heroes is the best deck for me because I just like going rogue and just watching the face of meta players. They're just like, damn, is he still comboing? Is he still going? And but so I mean, it's a standard list. The 3 Ash, 1 Celestial, 1 Denier, 1 Dynatag, 2 Mally, 1 Plasma, the 1 Honest, the 1 Liquid, 2 Mist. Uh, the Stratos package, basically, you can get away with running 2 or 3 or even 1. It just depends on your preference and your build, whatever you prefer. Uh, uh, a budget, uh, a budget version for Bane. I mean, for me, Bane is just too good. I mean, a 3,000 body, 3,000 beat stick. Just the fact that you can it's a Raigeki once per turn, has protection from being destroyed by battle or card effects, and plus gains attack for every monster destroyed by his effect. He's just too good. But I mean, you can actually take out that package and run Trinity, for the OTK. I mean, that's just kind of like a little side note, a little budget version, in case if you can't afford or can't get the Adusted Gold and Bane. Firefly Lady, really, 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 really good card for going first, and I'll do a combo tutorial for that. But this is just how you get your Dark Law under 4 summons. The Vision Hero package. Um, a lot of people can actually, if you cut Stratos, you can actually bump up Vion to 3. Um, the reason why a lot of people cut Stratos to like either 2 or 1 is because Vine is actually a better starter than Stratos, because with Vion, it's basically almost a 1 card OTK. Plus, you can kind of still play after getting drolled by Vion. Because Vion's first effect is you send out your Shadow Mist to the graveyard, then you get, the Shadow Mist effect would trigger, getting you another hero monster to your hand. As opposed to with Stratos, you normal summon him, get the effect to add, and if you get drolled there, well, then it kind of stops your play. Whereas here, if you get drolled after you add the Shadow Mist Surge, well, depending on your hand, you can still kind of keep going. Obviously, the one a hero lives, the Dark Calling for Bane, the Foolish is another basically one combo starter. Is as well as if you get, for example, let's say that your normal summon Vaughn gets impermed, ashed, or veilered. If you have this in hand, you can still keep going. You can send out the Shadow Mist and just basically full combo again. A budget version for Droplet would be Forbidden Chalice. The only difference is that Chalice, it targets, unfortunately. But I mean, it's still used as a quick play negate. If you know, and that's just basically if you can't afford the droplets right now. And I only run two because in the main, one in the side, but it can get bricky if you're drawing multiple droplets because the activation is only once per turn. Um, the standard Destiny, the standard Mass Change are one of Miracle, Poly, and Rhoda, and then the one of the three best one of the best cards in the deck is the Super Poly.
Oh, okay. So I may sound like a noob here and like a new player, but like I see that you don't run emergency call. Is there a reason why? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, main reason why I don't run specifically E-Call is because I don't want to get drolled. Uh, you activate your emergency call to get your starter, and then they activate Droll. Well, it's like you're stuck, and
Oh,
that's
okay, gotcha.
why because I would rather get drolled after Vion, to be honest, because Vion effect, I send out the Shadow Mist, I get my other body, and if I get drolled there, well, depending on my hand, I can still keep playing, as opposed to getting activate E-Call, getting out Stratos or Vion, and then they activate Droll. Well, now my play has to basically completely change because I get drolled right after that first card. And to me, every deck is basically does the same thing as far as they create a pathway from A to Z. The you know how to kind of differentiate from to become a better player is to find different pathways to get to your end game, to get to your end board. Because a lot of people, though, if they get drolled or if they get ashed or if their vital combo piece gets ashed or interrupted, then they can't continue or they don't know how to continue. And that's why, for me, whenever I play a deck, I really, really like to just kind of play test the crap out of it, just so I can know different pathways to get to the same end board that I'm trying to get to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't think about Droll because like if you get Droll on E-Call, then you basically have no place after that, right?
Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything just depends on your hand, but it's just like they always say, you always have to play like they always have it, and one of the biggest threats that heroes kind of lose to is Nib. And that's why, depending for my deck, I like to go second. But if they make me go first, I can make the Dark Law under 4 summons. And it's funny because in some of the tournaments that I've gone undefeated, my opponent told me, "Man, you never play into Nib, or they have like 2 Nibs in their hand or 1 Nib in their hand, and it's just a dead card." Because with Dark Law on field, most decks can't out it, or even they have to use their entire resources to bait it out and to get it off the field. And like I explained before in one of your shorts, they have to have the imperm, they have to kaiju it, they have to droplet it, but even then, they can't droplet because droplet sends to grave for cost. So they have to have specific cards in order to out Dark Law. And even then, most of the time, you're not dying that turn. And if you have some extenders in your hand, you can OTK them next turn. For the side, again, I just build the decks based on what I'm playing against at my locals, which a lot of people they're playing Tri Brigade. What's some other meta
Virtual
stuff?
World, Virtual World. They say it's
Virtual World,
virtual.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I'm speaking to Mr. Virtual World himself. uh, Yeah, I mean, just Lancia just kills those decks. The Sanctum package is really really good, and I'm actually thinking about bumping Sanctum to 3 and cutting out either the third cross out or the third droplet, because I'm running basically four uh, four designators in a sense. Four targets for the Sanctum. So it just depends on what deck I'm playing against. I can Sanctum into either size to lock my opponent out from the extra deck, or even if they're if they really really need to banish for their combos, then I could just get out Lancia.
And
And
and then
good.
the scythe and the lance have good synergy with destroy Phoenix and Forza, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's only gonna get way way better, because even now, whenever you hard draw one of these, you can actually win. And I'll show another combo guide with that. But even if you hard draw one of these, you can set it, and then you can actually pop it with your Phoenix Enforcer on your opponent's turn, so that would still trigger. So even now, the hard drawing any of these will not be considered a brick, because now with Phoenix Enforcer, you just basically pop it, and it will stop your opponent from playing in a sense. And then the extra deck can be kind of different variations. It just depends on everyone's playstyle and everyone's build. I mean, Phoenix Enforcer, that's going to be a number one extra deck monster that everyone's going to be playing now. I'm also playing the Dystopia because there's been a couple times where I actually lost in time, and I mean, I was playing Dystopia, but the thing is that I had already made him. So going into time, instead of Phoenix Enforcer, I'll actually make Dystopia and then burn him for game, because he has an on-summon effect to where you can target one level 4 lower monster, Destiny Hero monster in your graveyard, and then inflict damage equal to that monster's attack. So since I'm running 2 targets for that, either the Denier or the Celestial, depending on the life point difference, I'll probably most likely send Celestial, because that'll be 1600 points of damage. And like I said, for the Bane, you can substitute in for Trinity, and that's just basically for a budget version. The another thing is, a lot of people, they either play. I'll pull up this card here. They'll either play this card, Wonder Driver, and cut one of the Cross Crusaders. And which, I mean, don't get me wrong, Wonder Driver is good for going first. The issue is that you're playing into Nib at that point.
That makes sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
but he is really, really good going first. You just set him up, activate Mass Change, get out your Dark Law, and then you just set Mass Change again. So even if they have, like, for example, Dark Ruler no more, that's fine, because you can still Mass Change from Dark Law into Dark Law, and then at least one of your Dark Laws is live. Or if you have, 0, you Mass Changes to Acid, and that's a Regeki and a Heartbeat at this, and you're basically nuking your opponent's board. But I just don't. For me, for my preference, I don't like Wonder Driver, because you're playing into Nib at that point. And even then, it's like you just, if they have the Nib and you don't have any other extenders, where you just have a token, and more than likely, I mean, they're gonna run it over, or they'll pop it, somehow, some way.
That's very
And
smart
then
that you're always considering like the blowout cards like Nib or like Droll, right? Like you build your deck around those cards basically.
oh
Uh,
yeah, especially because kind of going a little into a shout out, but I want to give a shout out to Michael. He always helps me build my decks, and kind of like combat the meta, and kind of just you know we kind of just play test and kind of play around with the decks, and help each other kind of get better, and see what actually synergizes with the decks, and see kind of like what goes in, what goes out, or what can go with this card, what can go with that card. The 2 super poly targets, they're very very important. in the deck because, like I said, they just basically break boards, and a lot of people just end up playing into Super Poly as well. Um, Especially now with going into Phoenix Enforcer. People are going to be leaving out the Dragoon and Anaconda, or Anaconda and Phoenix Enforcer. So that's basically a good Super Poly target for my Extenderson, just basically kind of getting over problematic cards that I need to get off the field. But that's why, I mean, Super Poly to me is a very, very important card that you need to run in your deck. And then the Mud Dragon also helps out with preventing your monsters from being targeted. If you read this card, your opponent cannot target this card or monsters on the field with the same attribute as this card. And the beauty of this card is that you can declare one attribute, and that card becomes this. The attribute becomes this card for the end of the turn. So if you have, most of the heroes that we have are dark, so you get him out, you activate his effect to call dark. So now your Vion is protected from Imperm, from Valor, and all your dark hero monsters. And that's basically just how, for me, that's how I like playing my deck. I tried it at 40, but I just, to me, I just kept drawn into some bricks. I mean, I know I play bricks, but I mean that's why I bumped it up to 45 to kind of make it a little bit more consistent for my build. A big issue that a lot of people have is playing either 2 or 1 for the increase. Me specifically, I'm always I played him at 1, and I'm always hard drawing him or drawing him for 6 card, and it's like it just becomes so dead, and that's why I had to bump him up to 2. Like even this past Saturday, uh, the I went X1, and the one match that I lost, I just bricked both games, and ironically, I had both of these in hand, and it just makes me just want to run 3. But I know I would never run 3 increase in this build.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. 'Cause I feel like this is one of those decks that is better to go over 40, so you don't like draw any into any of those bricks, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I mean, and plus, there, I mean, with heroes, there's a lot of variations. I mean, a lot of people can play, 40 cards, 45, even bump it up to 50. It just depends on everyone's preference in the build and to me, for every new hero player building a deck or wanting to play the deck, or even just in general, I always suggest to build what you're afraid of and to build what you're going up against at your locals. Like we said before, I mean, for us, it's Virtual World, Tri Brigade, um, sprinkle in a couple strikers in here and there, and that's why I just play my builds into from what I'm playing against, or for what I know that I'm going up against at our locals. And what we can do is go ahead and go into some one card combos.
oh yeah, this is gonna be the combo guide. All right, and so
So let me actually. So what I'll do is I'll just show like one card combos, and then
okay,
we'll do some test hands,
okay.
just so you can see how we can kind of play around a couple different things. So let me go ahead and put this back, put this back, put this back, put this back, and put this back. So Fusion Destiny is basically a almost one card OTK, because you have your other cards in hand. But it just depends. Again, this is just for going second for my build, but you can also make this going first. But for this combo, we're going to make this like going second. So you activate this card. You send out your Mally and your Celestial. Go and bring out your Dystopia. So you're going to activate Dystopia's effect, targeting your Celestial, So now your opponent burns for 1600 damage right off the bat. Then you activate Melee, banish, special out the Melee. Then from there, you're going to go into your Link 2. You're going to go into your Cross Crusader. Cross Crusader effect is going to trigger. You're going to target, either. It doesn't matter which one you're targeting because you're just going to tribute them off. You're going to get out your Dystopia. Activates effect. Tribute your Dystopia. And then you're going to get out your Adjusted Gold. Adjusted Gold's effect, you're going to tribute or discard for cost. You're going to add the Dark Calling. You're going to activate Dark Calling's effect. Banish out your Melee. Does that, and then banish out your gold. Get out your Bane. You're going to activate Bane's effect to nuke your opponent's field. And again, he gains 200 for each monster that was destroyed by his effect. So, X amount of monsters, let's say he just gains, 200 for each. And right off the bat, I mean, they're at 6,400. And this is just one card from Fusion's Destiny. I mean, I'm assuming that you're going to have more cards. But, even if, if their board is empty, 3,000 plus, plus 16, that's 4,600. So you're leaving your opponent with 1,800 points of life points left just from a one card combo. And again, your opponent doesn't have a board anymore. And if you're just top decking, going on your next turn, let me go and shuffle, draw for turn. Even if you draw a brick or any monster that you can summon or set, you just normal summon it. You activate Celestial's effect to banish both these copies. So his effect is you banish him, and you banish a hero monster to draw 2. I mean, yeah, a brick, but either way, now you, again, this is why you run 2, not 3.
Yeah.
But Bane, his effect, nuke your opponent's board again, and then now you're attacking for game.
That's crazy. I think a lot of people are interested in the like the combo that helps you play around Nibiru, with the Firefly Lady.
Yeah. So let's go and let me put these back. So basically, you just need a variation of 3 cards. Or a variation, I guess, of any of these 4 cards. So any variation of these 4 cards, and you have Dark Law under 4 summons. But for this, so what we're going to use is, we're going to use Rhoda and then Firefly Lady. So you're going to activate Rhoda. Get out your Stratos. Normal summon Stratos effect, and we're going to go ahead and add our Shadow Mist. Alright, so that was 1 summon. So now we're going to special summon Firefly Lady. That's 2 summons. Activate Firefly Lady's effect. Special out the Shadow Mist. So now, the beauty of it is Firefly Lady's effect. She has basically 2 effects. If I control a war monster, I'd special summon out her. But whenever she's tributed and you special summon a warrior from your hand, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. So it's immune to Imperm and Valor. I mean, if they have Ash, they have it.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that effect of Firefly Lady, the one that prevents them from targeting. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're Yu-Gi-Oh players. It's hard for us to read.
Yeah.
But now, we activate Shadow Mist, so we're on 3 summons. Now we're going to get our mass change. Now, you don't want to shotgun the mass change because, you want to get the second effect, or you want to get the Shadow Mist effect. But now that's Dark Law with 3 summons. Now your opponent's turn, I always avoid playing into Gamma as well. So I just wait for my opponent to normal summon a monster, normal summon a monster, special summon, or get a monster on field, and depending on what they're playing and depending on what I'm afraid of, my chain links could differ. Because if I really want my opponent to not have, uh, a card in their hand, then what I'll do is I'll go on their turn, mass change, send out the mist, get out Darklaw, and I will go Chainlink 1 Darklaw, Chainlink 2 Shadow Mist. Shadow Mist, now, you can go a couple different ways. You can either if you're afraid that your opponent can get over your Darklaw, then you would get out Honest Neos. If you're not afraid that they can get over Darklaw, or if you're just if you just know that they have to use all their resources to get over Darklaw, then you want to get Vaughn because you want to have follow up for next turn. But now, the chain links can differ. Just depends on what deck you're playing against and what you're afraid of. Because if you really want the search for follow up, then you just do Chainlink 1 Mist, Chainlink 2 Darklaw. I always most of the time prefer to Chainlink 1 Darklaw and Chainlink 2 Mist because I would much rather them gamma the Mist than the Darklaw because I want Darklaw to stay on the field as much as possible. Reset here. And then what do you think so far? What questions do you have for me thus far?
Yeah. So okay. So obviously this is like a blind second deck, right? And like you're going first play is Dark Law. So like Plasma. How do you Plasma is also like a going first play, right? Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Now the thing is with Plasma, it just depends honestly on the decks. It depends on the hand. Because Plasma, more oftentimes than not, you have to go over 5 summons, but it just depends on what you draw. You can actually get him out in 4. He would be your 4th summon, and then you can depends also your hand. You can actually set up for mass change, for droplets and stuff like that. Because and the reason why I run Plasma in the main, a lot of people don't do that. They either side them to go force or to your first or etc. But reason being now with post Bode, getting out Phoenix, I want to have multiple targets in case if I have 2 Fusion Destiny in hands. So I activate Fusion Destiny, get out the Phoenix Enforcer, and then Fusion Destiny again to get out the Dystopia.
Oh,
But
okay,
I'm
okay.
running at least 6 Destiny Hero targets, which is the 2 Mally, the 1 Plasma, the 1 Denier, the 1 Dynatag, and the 1 Celestial.
Oh, gotcha. So you always want to have your Fusion Destiny lives, right? Um,
Exactly. And that's why I'm running the 6 Destiny Hero monsters, just in case for that reason, because most of the time, um, I either draw into 1 Destiny, like a hard open it, and then I draw into another one with a liquid. But now post Bode, now that we're gonna have 2 Destiny Hero targets, Phoenix and Dystopia, I'm just gonna keep the list as is with adding the Denier. That way, so I have just basically infinite loops with Denier and with my Destiny Hero monster. Plus, you most of the time you want Celestial and Grave, so you can get the +2 draw, the Pot of Greed, basically.
makes sense. Makes sense. So, um, going forward, like, does this deck struggle against certain matchups, or are there like some matchups that are like very easy for this deck that you almost feel comfortable that you're gonna win most of the time? Um,
Yeah. So for me, uh, what uh, what I find easy, and not knocking any player down or anybody that plays the decks, but Prankids fairly easy. because I mean they can't do Dark Law. I mean, again, most decks cannot play through Dark Law or cannot out Dark Law. So yeah, Prank Kids fairly easy. Drytron fairly easy. Uh, let's see what else is Striker again fairly easy. Obviously, I mean if I brick, I brick. That's I mean, but that's every deck. If they brick, they can't play through much. Tri Brigade again, fairly easy. Uh, the two decks that are almost damn near impossible for me to play through, especially if they're being piloted by a good player, would be Virtual World. You're welcome.
Yeah.
And Invoke Shadal or Dogmatica Invoke Shadal or any variation of that. I
Mhm.
mean, this Saturday, I played a Invoke player. I mean, and yeah, I bricked, but I mean, he's a fairly well-rounded, good Shadal player, and I mean, he set up a fairly nice board that was even if I would literally had to have draw the nuts or the super nuts in order
Yeah.
to out his board, because he had the meltdown. He had Macabre, Punishment, uh, Ecclesia,
Schism.
Schism, and then the what is it? The Fleur de Lis.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So my hand literally needed to have been Super Poly, Cosmic Cyclone, uh, Droplet, and then Ion Infusion Destiny.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But those and with Virtual World, the Shenshin is is basically their Dark Law. It's super annoying for me to have to deal with that as well. I mean, luckily, it's only from field to grave that gets banished. So, but again, if they have the Shenshin, Chuche, Crystal Wing, and then basically a Rocky in hand lying in the waves,
Yeah.
it's gonna be kind of difficult for that. But again, Super Poly, Cosmic Cyclone, uh, Starter, and then Fusion Destiny.
Yeah.
Those two decks, again, being piloted by good pilots, are a really, really, really tough matchup for me. Most of their decks, depending on my hand, I can break boards and basically OTK. Like one instance, I played a Tri Brigade player to where he had three Materia Appaloosa. I think what do he have? The Revolt. What is it? The Ancient Warriors monster.
Oh, the double dragon lords. The yeah.
Yeah,
Those.
the one that sends.
Mhm.
And then what else? I think he had something else. Oh, yeah, oh, he also had a nib, I think. Um, and basically, I played through all that. I ended up breaking his board. Almost OTK'd, but he top tick a name and basically built the same board back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for the most part, I just love this deck in general because it claps meta and it just is so much fun. Just building a board or watching your opponent build a board,
Yeah.
breaking it, and just OGKing them.
Yeah. So like, since I'm a new hero player, like I don't know, like I'm learning basically everything here now with all the viewers. So, let's say you do play against like a hard matchup, like something like Invoke Dogmatica Shadow. Do you still opt to go second, or do you change your strategy and you're like, I'm gonna try to go first because I don't want to like risk going second against those decks.
Oh yeah, so for Shadal for the Shadals, I changed up my play and actually this is where the side comes into play.
Yeah.
This is where the side helps out with the Lancias, with the Sanctums, and then with the Scythe. So I would actually opt to go first,
Gotcha.
going against those matches, because again, uh, for the guy that I played against Saturday, I made Dark Law again under 4 summons, but he basically had the nuts. He
Yeah.
had Meltdown, got the Alistair, um, I banished his Ecclesia, and then he had Triple T, and he also had Nadir Servant.
Wow.
So I was like, man, this guy's correct. But I mean, sometimes they just have it. I mean, there's nothing you can do in that situation. You know, they're people that, again, that are really really good players, and some of them are really some players, they're really really lucky players, and there's nothing you can do uh, in regards to that. It's just it's just the name of the game, and it's just the nature of the game. But for those hard matchups, I do actually opt to go first, so I can get Dark Law, because again, that's that's sort of my win condition against most decks. Now, I mean, when they have the Triple T, or when they have the Imperm, or when they have the Kaiju's, they have it. Nothing I could do there.
Yeah. All right. And uh, so like you mentioned, there are some budget options, but you think this is like the optimal build, right? Like if they have the money to build it, then they should be building this deck like the way you made it out, right? Because it's like the best way to build a deck.
For me, in my opinion, it is a really really good build going second to OTK. Like I said, it's just Bane is just too good to not have in the build. I understand. I mean, that's $400 or $500. Like, to me, in my opinion, uh, for this format, I mean, this format and possibly going forward, a budget deck, a complete budget deck can run anywhere in between $150 to $200. Not just the core itself, but like everything. For any deck in this format and in this meta to be viable, I mean, it's at least $150 to $200, because you need to have the core, you need to have the staples, and again, you sometimes you just need to bite the bullet and get the cards that you need in order to overpower other decks. Me, as you know, I always love max rarity in my decks. I mean,
Yeah.
especially heroes. That's one deck that, I mean, I even said if Phoenix Enforcer was to have been of Starlight, for sure. And unfortunately, I already got two Stratos Starlights, so I'm just waiting to get a third one.
Wow. How much did those go for? Like right now, they're probably like 400 or something, right? 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 to 5.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just, again, I mean, Heroes is one, if not my favorite deck.
I think it's like the most expensive deck, right? To build if you wanna like build optimally.
Uh,
'Cause I don't even think any of the meta decks are that expensive, like what like people consider to be like meta or whatnot. Um,
yeah, I would. Let's see. Well, it just depends on if we're talking max rarity versions, then you know, in any deck that runs Appaloosa, because that's the Starlight
oh
or
yeah.
the IP.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, as far as like even even low rarity versions of the deck, heroes would probably be up there as far as pricing.
Yeah.
Just because, again, you need you really need, in my opinion, to have these blowout cards, even though they're expensive as hell. You really need these, to help you combat the meta and help you extend and help you combo. The Ferris or the Ferris increase and Violent, the Vision Hero package. I mean, they're, I think, at least like almost like $200 themselves.
Wow.
Liquid Soldier, the Aqua one, I think he's at like 50 or 60.
Wow.
And then a Dusted and Bane, I mean, that package, I think it's like $500.
That's insane. And then like now adding the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, which I last time I checked was like a 120 on TCG.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think he's probably going to hover on the 120, 130, because I mean everyone is going to be trying to get him for their decks. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's just going to be the Anaconda target now. Which, I mean, to be honest, I mean they could still Nature Goon,
Yeah.
and but it's just the fact that you have a possible infinite Trident in the form of non-target pops, and then just looping him infinitely. And what a lot of people are not going to know, or they're going to forget, is that the first effect, where it makes your opponent it makes your opponent's monsters lose 200 attack for each hero in your graveyard. No, any non-hero player is probably just not even going to worry about that first effect,
Yeah.
and they're just gonna be looking for the quick effect pop. But one thing every hero player and just every person in general needs to know about the Phoenix Enforcer, and I'm sure good players they already know, but for new people or new hero people that don't know, is that whenever you activate his effect to non-target pop, and you pop himself and another card on the field, right after you have to declare his effect to special summon a distant hero monster on your next standby phase. Because if you don't, then you're going to miss the window of his activation, and you won't be able to special summon him. Because a lot of people might think that, whenever you go into standby phase, activate his effect to special summon. No, you have to declare as soon as he hits the grave from being destroyed by battle or by card effect.
Makes sense. Oh yeah, makes sense. So yeah, they have to declare that they're activating the effect, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the beauty of it is that it's gonna special himself without starting a chain. So you activate it. So on your opponent's turn, you pop a card, and as soon as he hits the grave, you activate his effect. So on your standby phase, non-starting chain, you just special summon him on the field.
Oh, so he cannot be negated by something by like an
Like a
Appaloosa.
solemn,
Yeah.
yeah, like a solemn judgment,
Yeah.
a strike, because the activation was already done previously or the prior turn.
Makes sense. That is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so you can't solemn judgment him. You can't strike him.
Yeah.
Um, it's just gonna special summon himself or another Destiny Hero monster on the standby phase.
Gotcha. All right. So if you want, you wanna close it up with like a test hand, and then after the test hand, we can just close it out. It's been you've been doing a great guide so far.
Good,
Um,
good, good. Yeah,
yeah.
let me go and reset the deck. I mean, this hand is nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. All right, yeah, Dark Law. Two Dark Laws. Basically, I mean, you can. I'll just go. This test anime is just super nuts. Okay, so
Yeah.
normal summon him. Activate Firefly Lady. Special summon her. Activate her effect. Special, and then just said 2 mass changed. So now I have 2 Dark Laws plus fodder for next turn. Again, this is me always playing around Nibiru, but let's say that we just play into Nibiru. Let me go put this back in hand, just for the sake of just keep comboing. So what you do, go into Anaconda, you activate the mist, you get out. Again, you either get Vion
or the honest, right? Yeah.
yeah, you either get Vion or the Honest. Bring out. Then you activate. Where we go. Send to Grave Denier. So this is still under 4 summons,
Mhm.
but this is just so you can so you have basically a quick effect non-target pop in which you would pop the Anaconda, pop a card in your opponent's field, and then mass change. Oh, look at that, Dark Law.
That's
Oh,
insane.
and the beauty of it is that Dark Law is a soft once per turn.
Oh.
So, okay, so activate Dark Law, rip out one of your opponent's cards. Oh, let's do that again.
You rip another card, right?
Rip another card out of your opponent's hand. Yeah, a lot of people, again, we're Yu-Gi-Oh players. We don't read our cards, but yeah, Dark Law is a soft once per turn. So if you have 2 to 3, you can literally just rip, chain, chain them all,
Yeah.
and just basically almost blow out your opponent's entire hand.
And you usually activate it in the middle of a chain, so if they do something like Rhoda, like reinforcements of the army, you chain mass change, and then you summon him, and then like once they add it, you're able to banish it, right? That's how it works.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, so I always try to play around the gamma.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yeah, I played it around. I think I played it around you, and then like I think 2 other people. Because again, I don't want my Dark Law to get off the field.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too good. A one-side macrocosmos and just ripping a card out of my opponent's hand. But if I see that they added a really problematic card, then what I'll do is I'll just do Chainlink 1. If I have the Mist, but I would do Chainlink 1 Dark Law and Chainlink 2 Mist. If I just have the Dark Law, then I just it depends if I'm feeling like it, but most of the time I just wait until they get a monster on field, just so that I know that they can't gamma.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Go and reset this deck. Oh, look at that! Another 2 mass change. So it's basically the same play as before. Go and reset it again. Okay, this is one of those bricks that you really there's nothing you can do. You just normal summon liquid, and then you set the mass change. So now at least you have a Raigeki on your opponent's turn. Because 0, it doesn't matter where he goes. If he's banished to the or if he leaves the field by to the grave, if he's banished, if he's fusion summoned, just as long as he leaves the field, he's gonna Raigeki all my opponent's monsters.
Gotcha.
Let's do one more.
All right.
Oh, this is the nuts right here. This is nuts. So again, we're just gonna play through my opponent not having any hand traps or any interruptions.
Okay.
So you activate Ferris, pitching the Mali for cost. So now, special summon out the Ferris effect. We're gonna go ahead and get increase. Increase effect. About the Ferris, special summon, activate increase, get out Vion. Now, in this situation, because I have Dark Calling in hand, and I have Liquid in hand, I'm going to go ahead and send out the Dusty Gold. Normally, in order to keep going and keep playing, I would send out the Shadow Mist, so I can go ahead and get Liquid.
Gotcha.
Second, go ahead and banish. We can go ahead and add Poly. Activate Poly. Sending out these 2. And again, this is my going second, so I'm pushing for game at this point. You always in this combo, you always want to go Chainlink 1 Liquid, Chainlink 2 Sunrise. Because Sunrise gets you Miracle Fusion. Because if you do it the opposite, if you go Chainlink 1 Sunrise, Chainlink 2 Liquid, you might hard draw into this into the Miracle Fusion, and now this effect fizzles. So you always want to do your search effects as a last chain, because now Now I know for sure I can't hard draw it, so I just draw 2. Go ahead and pitch out the Firefly Lady because I don't need her at this point. Let's want to banish these 2. All right, so at this point, this is where I was talking about finding different ways to get to your end game. This is where that clause comes into effect, because now I summon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my 5th summon, and because I have Honest Neos in hand, I'm gonna go ahead and proceed to battle phase, because Sunrise gets he's boosting everybody by 200 for each attribute I control on the field. So there's a light, a dark, and a water. So they're all gaining 600 attack. So Sunrise is at 31, Zero is at 31, and then Violet's at 16. So 31, that's 62. What is that? 78, and then Honest in hand, that's already game. So this is where I would bait out the nib. And this is where if they have no monsters on field, or even if they have one monster on field and even one back row, or again, for the Shadal players, if they have they already activated the Schism, but I mean, if they didn't, this is where I would chain the Cyclone. But the biggest play here is to bait out the Nib to go into battle phase. So now they activate the Nib. Okay, so your board gets wiped. You have a fat token, but now Zero activates. So now your opponent's board gets nuked. And you still have play. So now you go into Mally.
That's insane. That's insane right there.
You activate the Dark Calling. Banish. Banish. Get out, Bane. And now your opponent's board is cleared. You have 38 plus 25. And then you just set the Cyclone. And to go into main 2. Let's see. You can either stay on this board, or you can go into Cross Crusader and just get out and then go into Cross Crusader and just special out the Mally and then pitch Mally to get a Vaughn or a Stratos for next turn. But I mean, at this point, your opponent lost 3k, 25, that's 55, 6,300. Plus, you have a really fat token for next turn. So, more oftentimes than not, your opponent won't be able to play through all that. But this is like I said, this is where you would just play into a lot of different things. So, and just try to bait out stuff. Like a Hero Lives is always a bait, for the Ash. But I mean, obviously, if it goes off, it's really good. One last thing I want to mention. This is kind of like little
bonus.
kind of like a little bonus, combo that a lot of people don't know, or don't know how the interaction is. Let's go ahead and let me set up this board real quick. Special summon him. And let me go. So, let's say that your opponent has 3 back row. And we'll just put tokens, on these. So these 3 right here. This is where your opponent has 3 back row face down. What you do, if you're really afraid of those back row, you can normal summon Stratos. Activate his effect. His first effect, which not a lot of people, they either forget or they don't know, or he destroys traps on the field up to the number of hero monsters I control, except for himself. So you activate his effect to declare the non-target pop for back row. And if let's say that your opponent has no response, you activate increase to tribute himself for cost to special summon him. And if your opponent does not have a response, now at this point, now you blow up all three instead of two.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, because Stratos checks at the end of resolution. So in this situation, if you don't, if you choose to add a card, you just get the search. But if you choose to pop right here at this point, then you would just pop two spell traps. But now, because you chain the increase to where he's off the field, now I have 3 monsters instead of 2. Now I pop up to 3 spell traps for my opponent. And once they let the increase resolve, they cannot respond. So if they try to say, oh, on the summon of increase, I activate this, no, because the chain links have not resolved yet, and so Stratos still has yet to resolve. So I would pop all 3 of his back row.
Wow, that's insane. All right
Yeah,
then.
there's the main thing is just to play test the deck, kind of do some look out different guides, and I mean if anyone out there if they know of a hero player and they want to get into heroes, the best thing is just to look at their builds, look at their gameplays, because there's a lot of different ways to get to the end board for heroes. So much that it's just so hard to kind of cram everything into one video. I mean, everyone, the main combos is Vion, Fusion Destiny, and then that little Ferris interaction that I did. But there are a lot of other ways uh, that you can combo off with heroes. It just takes time to learn the deck, but it's for me, it's just so much fun, and I always say heroes best deck.
All right then. Thank you so much, Rudy, for this guy. That he was awesome.
All right then, brother.
Take care.